Hey, it's Queen Shitass. I wanted y'all to see this. I look kind of like a pregnant fairy. The goal was to look like a princess, but I ended up kind of looking more like a pregnant fairy. This is an old tavern wench, yeah. All right, guys, it is the princess episode. Not because I'm a princess, because obviously I'm 32 years old and all I think about is, are my eggs dead yet? Have they shriveled up? Do they look like sad peanuts? And I tell other people about it and they're like, we do not want to hear about this perimenopausal shit. I mean, I don't even know if I've got it, but I'm very good at cursing myself with stuff. That's the old Pentecostal in me. I'm going to talk about problematic childhood crushes. I am going to talk about this princess complex that we all have. I'm going to revisit a couple of fairy tales from when we were a kid, when we were all one collective kid. We're going to explore all those things. But first, I wanted to say, I need my prop. Woo! You know, when I was a kid, sexual. All my hair fell out when I was 3 years old. The doctors didn't know what was going on with me. I just think it was watching too many surgeries. Yes, I used to watch surgeries as a kid. Apparently, the first words I ever said to my cousin's fiance at the time when she met me, I was 3 years old. She said, "Hey, Andi Marie," and I said, "Cesarean, when they zip her open and take out her baby and then zip her back up again." And she was like, "Ugh. So how about that banana pudding?" All my hair fell out. And who knows, maybe I did have a demon. Oh, I'm turning a look. Anyway, stop. When my hair fell out, I wore these pantyhose around my head or a slip. And I would go all through the town. And one time I went into Fireside Restaurant, the biggest steakhouse in town. I'm using the word steakhouse very loosely here because that, you know, it was kind of like Salisbury Steakhouse. Do you get what I'm saying? I walk up to the fireplace. I look out over the crowd very dramatically. And I said, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your pantyhose." And apparently the place just erupted in laughter. And that's where my comedy career started. So some of the folks that we think of today as our princesses are because of Disney. There are modern day princesses, but they're really just a bunch of maidens. People want to blame Disney, but honey, Brothers Grimm was turning this shit out way before Disney. And people's been wanting to be princesses for as long as the other people's been eating weevils. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, people want to blame Disney, but I want to blame poverty. Ooh, got itchy nipples. I don't know what that means. Maybe my eggs are coming back. What a face. From this to there. But Brothers Grimm was screwing up our minds way before Disney was. So we can't really blame Disney for any of this shit. Every girl I knew wanted to be a princess except for the horse girls. And they were a certain type of breed who I look up to now, honestly. I love a good horse girl. I love a bad horse girl. There's something Mary Chapin Carpenter about it all. There's something Lucinda Williams about all that shit. It's kind of hot. And I wish I would have been a horse girl. There for a minute, I tried to be a horse girl because my best friend Felicity was real into Black Beauty. Like, she had just read Black Beauty and then The Black Stallion. And those aren't porn tapes. Those are books, just in case y'all didn't know. I got a filthy bunch here, I'm sure. But she was very cool. And she was like the cool girl. I wanted to appeal to her. I wanted her to think that I was cool. So I got into horses by proxy. And by got into, I mean like I ordered one horse magazine and then Mom canceled the subscription after 3 months because she was like, "This is ridiculous." And then also we both got on horse chat for a while. This is during the time that like MSN Messenger is at its peak. And we got onto horsechat.com. Honey, I got on there and tried to minister to people. Yes, people were on there saying fuck, saying really vulgar stuff to each other because they're teenagers and they're horny and they're just being teenagers. But I thought it was my mission that the Lord had sent me into horsechat.com to change lives. I was like, John 3:16, Philippians 4:12, just laying them out, like probably at the time not even knowing what they said, just like had seen them on the church bulletin board and was just throwing different verses in there. I was like, $6.99 at Walmart. I digress. I thought that the horse girls were really cool. They all had us beat. They really did. I wanted to be the princess unless I was with a friend, and then I wanted to be the villain. I got to be the evil stepmother. I wanted to be evil queen, stepmother. I wanted to just basically do a drag show for everyone. You know, I tortured my little cousins. I always chose to play the villain. When my little cousins came of age to where we could kind of play together, we were at grandma's and I would always, it was like I was doing like performative domestic abuse with them. I know that sounds terrible. It is terrible. It was like they were always orphans. They were always in some kind of orphan situation. And I was always the owner or the one who ran the orphanage, a Miss Hannigan type. And we get money to go over to Big John's and I'd get stuff like Tic Tacs and I'd ration them off. And I'd like always make one of them like sickly kind of and make the Tic Tacs her medicine. It's coming out in me. When she would try me or she would do something wrong, I'd be like, you're not getting your medicine tonight. And you know how you get the shakes when you don't take it. She'd say, no, please. I just was really good. Maybe I need to explore that again with my own children. What if there's a secret little dominatrix inside of me? No, I'm not. I'm much more coquettish. I want to go over some of these fairy tales that we hold dear, see what we think about them now, like re-explore that, because we all have in our minds what we think the story says, but there's always more detail. All right, as if I needed to do this, spoiler alert for the fairy tale Rapunzel. Brothers Grimm are the German folklorists who wrote a lot of stories about the forests in Germany. Here's the story of Rapunzel. Once upon a time, a couple longed to have kids. Get fucking Appalachian here, not meaning to. Once upon a time, a couple longed to have a child, but were unable to conceive. Their house was situated next to a walled garden owned by a sorceress named Dame Gothel. Did y'all know that was her name? All right, Dame Gothel. Dame Gothel needs to start a brothel with that name. And she might not have been so unhappy if she had. The wife noticed a beautiful plant called Rapunzel growing in the garden and developed an intense craving for it. She pleaded with her husband to get some for her, even if it meant trespassing into the sorceress's domain. Unable to resist his wife's plea, the husband climbed over the garden wall and took some Rapunzel. However, he was caught by Dame Gothel, who was furious with him. The husband pleaded for mercy, explaining his wife's yearning. Touched by their desire for a child, Dame Gothel agreed to spare him on one condition. They had to give her their firstborn child once it was born. And he agreed to this? Oh, okay. Desperate and believing they would never have a child, the couple agreed. In due time, the wife did become pregnant, and they had a beautiful baby girl. The sorceress came to claim the child and named her Rapunzel after the plant her mother craved. I'm sitting here being like, is this lettuce that you're naming the child after? I mean, name me after a fruit. Name me after, I'd rather be named asparagus than be named after a damn lettuce. That's done ruined me on that name. I loved that name. Rapunzel grew up into a lovely young girl with long golden hair. Dame Gothel locked her into a tower hidden deep in the forest, accessible only by a single window at the top. The sorceress would visit Rapunzel by calling out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would lower her long hair, which became her only means of entrance and exit. This bitch is definitely taking that vitamin E. Years passed, and one day a prince happened to hear Rapunzel's beautiful singing while he passed the tower. What is it with these men and just getting entranced by singing? Ha 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 ha! Happy as a lark. La ha 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 ha! Come jump into my puss. They fell in love. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the good part. When the prince arrived next, he called out for Rapunzel as usual. To his shock, Dame Gothel appeared instead and taunted him. In despair, he leaped from the tower, blinded by thorns below. That's weak. He could have overpowered Dame Gothel. Was she 60? And then he went and got himself blind. It's almost like this is a fairy tale or some shit. Years passed, and Rapunzel, pregnant with the prince's twins, found him in the wilderness. Her tears fell on his eyes, magically restoring his sight. They reunited joyfully, and the prince took Rapunzel and their children back to his kingdom. They was screwed. Okay? Because he found her pregnant in the forest. This got upgraded to PG-13 really quick. So one of my favorite stories, even though it scared me to death, and now I'm pretty sure he's got some pedo vibes. Do you know what I'm saying? Theo Vaughn would say he's a rapiste. He's got them Catholic priest vibes. We're going to visit that now. Let's see. So Rumpelstiltskin is another Brothers Grimm. These guys were popping out bangers. Let's see what we think he is at the end of this. He just seems like an old crackhead. Once upon a time, there was a poor miller who lived in a small village. In an attempt to impress the king, the miller boasted that his daughter possessed a remarkable talent. She could spin straw into gold. Intrigued by this claim, the greedy king summoned the miller's daughter to his palace. When the miller's daughter arrived, the king led her to a room filled with straw and handed her a spinning wheel. He ordered her to spin all the straw into gold by morning, threatening her with dire consequences if she failed. Why? These men, it's never enough for them. You got a hot bitch in your basement, and now she's got to spin straw into gold? Left alone, the miller's daughter despaired, knowing that she possessed no such magical ability. Just as she was about to give up hope, a strange little man appeared in the room. He introduced himself as Rumpelstiltskin and offered to help her in exchange for something precious. Desperate, the miller's daughter agreed without fully understanding the consequences. Using his magical power, Rumpelstiltskin spun the straw into gold. The king was delighted and demanded more. The following night, the miller's daughter found herself in the same predicament. Once again, Rumpelstiltskin appeared and offered his assistance. But this time, he demanded something even more valuable in return. This is where it gets weird. On the third night, the miller's daughter was once again faced with an impossible task. Rumpelstiltskin arrived and promised to help, but this time, he demanded the miller's daughter's firstborn child as payment. Why does he want that kid? This is a single, weird man. And he's living this hippie lifestyle. He's going around spinning people's straw into gold, making a buck here and there, he might be turning tricks. Why does he want this kid? Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know. Filled with despair, she agreed, unable to see any other way out. Years passed, and the miller's daughter gave birth to a beautiful baby. All these people wanting the kids. When Rumpelstiltskin returned to claim his payment, the miller's daughter pleaded with him to show mercy. The little man, who had grown fond of the child, gave her a chance to keep her baby if she could guess his name within 3 days. Through a stroke of luck, a messenger overheard Rumpelstiltskin's true name, a secret he had never revealed to anyone. Didn't he get drunk one night or some shit? Armed with this knowledge, the miller's daughter confidently declared his name on the final day. Enraged and defeated, Rumpelstiltskin stomped his foot so hard that he sank into the ground, disappearing forever. Rumpelstiltskin, they're giving a moral here at the end. Rumpelstiltskin serves as a timeless reminder of the consequence of making rash promises and the power of wit and resourcefulness in overcoming seemingly impossible challenges. Or it's the story about a pedo who convinces this selfish bitch to give up her son. And then all of a sudden she's like, no, I want it now. I want the baby. You can see that all those Brothers Grimm fairy tales are used to scare the shit out of kids. But they're bangers. They're weird, and they made us feel weird, and that's why we kept feeling bad and having nightmares and panic attacks. But we still kept coming back to those same old tales of abuse and neglect. Millennials. Like, I grew up in the Disney Renaissance in the 90s. My favorite princess was definitely Belle. We love a bookish hoe. And also, I just love somebody like me that just wants to bitch about growing up in their provincial town. She and I would have gotten together and be like, oh my God, I'm rereading Proust. And if we really look at a lot of our princess stories, a lot of them are Stockholm Syndrome. That's the thing, is like, we can acknowledge that now, we can laugh about it, but it wasn't good for us. And I'm sorry, I loved the Beast. I loved but see, that's problematic too, because you're like, what is he? What is he, a big old fucking wildebeest? I never figured that out. Was he a wildebeest, like an upright wildebeest? Sleeping Beauty's not as creepy, except for he is making out with her while she's asleep. But it's to wake her up. That ain't that bad. I would want that. I'd be like, send me any old bump. Send me the meth head down the street to make out with me. Shoot, he can play with my titties if it's going to bring me back to life. Like Snow White, for instance. Snow White was so mid. And have you ever noticed that, like, the Disney voices changed throughout the decades? Like, the princesses' voices back in, Snow White would have been, gosh, is Snow White in the 30s? Snow White's old. Their voices kind of more had that chirpy, bird-like quality where it was, you know, I know you, I've walked with you. No, even Snow White's was more chirpity, right? Where it's like, someday my prince will come. Like, she had that old school vibrato, right? And Sleeping Beauty had more of the full, I don't want to say operatic, but there was more of a fullness to it. I know you, I've walked with you once upon a dream. I know you. Graduate to Belle, and probably more of our range, 80s, 90s, more of a pop. Look at this stuff, clear, a pop, clear voice. Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Little town, it's a quiet village. Every day, like the one before. Oh, Anastasia. Honey. Liz Calloway. Oh, I love my Liz Calloway. Dancing bears, painted wings. So we had the evolution of the voices and kind of how the princesses were. They went from like coquettish to just enough independence and just enough independence to still need a man. And I, for one, am just glad we're cycling out of I almost said the monastery. That's the funny thing, is I wanted to be a princess and a nun. I was like, I just wanted to be Jesus's princess, I think. Sarah in the Labyrinth. Oh, y'all know how I am about Jim Henson, but you put Jim Henson and David Bowie in the same thing. Talk about a sexual awakening. But I didn't know what was happening to me as a kid. See, that's the thing, is you see something that young and you just know you're feeling stuff, but you can't quite put a name to it. You're just like, some stuff is happening inside of me, and I feel like I'm going to tell a therapist about it one day. That whole relationship thing is weird, we know, because of how old Jennifer Connelly was at the time. It's because No, she's like 14, 15 years old. And when Jareth, the Goblin King, comes to take her away, it's very obvious that he's romantically attracted to her. That doesn't click with you. You're just like, I want this androgynous, alien-like man who can dance and sing to come take me away right now. I thought it was name it, claim it. What happened? They made his pants so damn tight in there. I thought they were going to come and take me away to the North Pole with that moose knuckle. And really, I don't think I even realized that that's what it was. I just thought, that looks fun. And so, I think it was just this idea of being that special to someone that they just could not help themselves. You know, it's upsetting to feminism, but I can't help where my body was going. I can't deny my body. There were some other figures like that, and about half of them are Tim Curry. Tim Curry is his own archetype. I don't even know how to describe it. He's feminine, he's masculine, his voice is like a Shakespearean actor, but also like a problematic uncle. He's in a category of his own. He's the greatest. He could do everything, and he embodied everything, and everything that he did perfectly. And that's a lot to say about so many things. I was gonna say Legend. Remember The Darkness in Legend? Oh my gosh, that scene. Where he's trying to seduce, I forget her name, but like the female protagonist in that. When he comes up on her, honey, you're like, I gotta go to church. I gotta get something exercised from me. He just came in there looking like a roid-raged hot tamale. But he was so hot. But even before that was Hexxus. Remember? Hexxus, but more like sexist. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what kind of brain rot we all had, but that was a lot of people's awakening. And it's weird too, because he's just this amorphous blob that occasionally pops up and is this angular face. Maybe it was that song. Oh, hey Google, play Toxic Love from Fern Gully. This is some Fosse. Yeah, I mean, he's like basically doing a striptease for all of them. Slime beneath me, you know what I'm saying? Okay, Google, stop. Honey, that would bring a paralyzed veteran back to life. I want to give you a gift. When I do this, I feel like Galadriel. I feel like the other one. Now, here, take this gift. Give it to whoever you find. I don't care. I don't care what you do with it. Because I will be exploding into 1,000 pieces of shit tonight. Asking what little gift I have, which is the gift of nothingness.
Truly, truly, I say unto you, I was given this magic to pass along to someone else. They said someone that deserved it. But I couldn't find no one who deserved it, so can't you just take it?
I wonder if I could make myself happy if I just held this up to my face long enough. It's not working. I hope y'all had fun today. I had fun talking to you. If I was a hillbilly princess, I guess I would be Princess Shit Ass, or I would be Lady, probably, just like Lady Slim Jim. I'd learn to knit or do something of worth, needlepoint. And meanwhile, I'd just bitch. I'd bitch all the time, like I do now. I would bitch about not being a princess, and I would just try to make all the ladies that did needlepoint around me, we'd meet, and we'd have our little parties, and I would just basically try to make everybody laugh like I do now. Hope you have a good one. Stay royal, stay ridiculous.
Where is your shepherd, Chastelan? Shine bright, shine